I'm Liz Wright with University of Illinois Extension, and we're here in my garden, digging in. We're going to take a little tour of the garden because, you know, there's nothing better in the summer than to grow your own food. Do you have a garden? You know, even if you don't, you can plant a few seeds in a pot. You can get them for about 50 cents, and you can plant these little seeds in the dirt, and in a couple of months you can have a garden like this, or a pot full of peas or radishes. It's amazing how much fun it is and how easy it is to grow your own food. But even if you don't have a garden, did you know that all the food you eat in the grocery store came from someone's garden or someone's farm, and they bring it for you to enjoy? And so that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to take a little tour of my garden, and then we're going to cook together because that is so much fun. So we can start by looking around here. See these feathery little green leaves? These are carrots. They're not quite ready yet. You can see the teeny tiny baby carrot that has started to grow. So in a couple of weeks, we'll come up here and there'll be big carrots. These are sunflowers. And then these are peas. And I'll pick a couple so you can see them. See? And you can eat them right out of the garden. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Over here we have tomatoes. They won't be ready for a while. Tomatoes love the heat, and they start to produce red tomatoes right around July 4th. Then we have herbs over here. Oops. Do you like dill pickles? Oh my goodness, that's what this is, dill. And we have other herbs here, chives. Smell like and taste like onions. They're a cousin to the onion. It's called the allium family. And then over here we have kale. Kale is really popular right now, but it's been around for a very long time. You can make chips out of kale. You know, like potato chips? All we have to do is toss them with a little oil and put them in the oven and bake them until they're crispy. They're delicious. You can buy the kale at the store also. Over here we have beans. All of our fruits and veggies start with a flower. That's nature's way. So you see the bean flower here? So the bees will come and pollinate that flower, and it will turn into green beans for us to eat later on. And so all around us is the food that we in our family eat all summer long. And we freeze some and we can some to have it for winter. We have a berry patch and fruit trees and all of these good, delicious vegetables. I'm sure glad that you came to visit my garden this morning. Let's go pick some things so that we can cook together. All right, let's harvest some vegetables to cook together and make what we're going to call veggie cakes this morning. So one of the ingredients we're going to use is zucchini. And zucchini is a squash, and just like the beans, it starts with a flower. See the beautiful yellow flower? The bright colors are what attract the bees to the flowers so they can pollinate and then make a zucchini for us. Here's a teeny tiny zucchini in here. That's a teeny tiny baby one. I don't know if you can see it. There's two baby zucchinis right here. And then we have a larger one that we're going to pick and then use in our veggie cakes this morning. So, why don't you come on down to my kitchen and we can cook together. Oh, I almost forgot. We have lettuce. Oh, a salad sounds delicious for lunch. Let's cut some lettuce. So all we're going to do is take a knife And the cool thing about lettuce is I'm just giving it a haircut. It'll grow back, and we can cut and make another salad out of it. Take that weed out. I like colored lettuces also. And so here's some red lettuce for us. And a little bit of spinach. Spinach will make us grow big and strong, right? Spinach has iron in it. And it's iron that makes us, one of the things that helps make us strong. So let's get a little more red. That'll make us a nice salad. Oops. All right. So let's go back and cook. Here we are in the kitchen, ready to cook. And you know the first thing we do before we cook? Wash our hands. I'm going to take my jewelry off and then wet my hands. Add the soap and make sure that I am washing up my wrists, in between my fingers, my thumbs, fingernail, backs of my hands. And do you remember how long we're supposed to rub that soap on our hands? It's about 20 seconds. You could say our ABCs, or row, row, row your boat, or a familiar song that you like. But the important thing is to rub the soap all over our hands and wrists to make sure there's no germs hiding. And you know, one thing that I didn't tell you earlier, and it's because, one thing I didn't tell you earlier was that we need to wash our hands before we go to the garden. Isn't that kind of funny? We're going somewhere where there's dirt, but we want to wash our hands before. And the reason is if there were any germs on our hands before we touched the fruit and vegetables, then we would get the germs on them. We don't want to do that. So I washed my hands before we went to the garden, and now I'm washing my hands again. Make sure we rinse our hands. Then we're going to get a paper towel and dry our hands. Using that same paper towel, we're going to shut the water off and then throw the paper towel away. Here we are in the kitchen, ready to cook. We washed our hands, and now let's begin. I think first we'll make some applesauce. I know that doesn't sound like a veggie cake, but I like applesauce on my pancakes. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to make our own. We all know we can get applesauce out of a jar, but have you ever thought about how it's made? So we've taken some apples, and what we're going to do is cut down. I washed the apple first. And when we're cutting and using a knife, we think about the claw. So you make a claw with your hand and hold that piece of food steady. And then we're going to cut a core out. And then we're going to cut. You don't have to cut the peeling off. In fact, there are a lot of good vitamins right there under the peel. But most people like applesauce without peeling. So we're just going to cut that off. And then cutting down, just with a little bit of pressure, let the knife do the work for you. Cut that apple into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to put it there with the others. Then we're going to add just a little bit of water and put it on the stove. We're going to let that cook while we make the rest of our dish. The first thing we do, well, the second thing we do after we wash our hands when we're making any recipe is to read the recipe first. Any recipe will have the ingredients listed at the top. And so this is the Veggie Cakes recipe. I sent this to the library so you should be able to have it. We make sure we have all the ingredients. This calls for pancake mix, the just add water variety. And so get the pancake mix and make sure it's the one that you just add water. Then we need carrots and zucchini or summer squash. This is the one we picked from the garden. Isn't that amazing? We need water. And you'll notice the water is measured in like a small pitcher, and we call this a liquid measuring cup. When you're measuring liquids, you want to make sure that it's on a flat surface, and then look from the side to make sure we have an accurate measurement. And this called for 1 cup, and it looks like I need just a little bit more in there. There we go. That's perfect. We also need a little bit of brown sugar. Now, if you don't have brown sugar, that's fine, but you can actually make your own. If you add molasses to white sugar, it makes brown sugar. There's a video on the U of I Extension website that shows you just how to do that. We're also going to be adding a little bit of vanilla. And you know, vanilla comes from a flower that grows in the rainforest. And it gives our food a wonderful flavor. And speaking of flavoring, we've got spices. In this case, we're going to be using pumpkin pie spice, which is cinnamon and cloves and a little bit of ginger. Oh, that smells good. All right, so I said we're going to be making veggie cakes. And these veggie cakes are going to taste like carrot cake or zucchini bread. You've had those before, right? And the bonus is, not only is it going to be delicious, but we're putting vegetables in it. That's going to make it nutritious. So that's going to be really cool. We're going to start by grating, G-R-A-T-I-N-G, some of the vegetables. We need 1/2 cup of carrots and 1/2 cup of the zucchini. Now this is a cheese grater, but you can use it for all sorts of things. And you see all the different size holes, and that makes different size bits of whatever you're grating. So we're going to start with these middle-sized ones. And what you need to do is remember that this is sharp. It's cutting the vegetables. So we're going to press gently and just move the zucchini downward. And it makes tiny little shreds of the zucchini. And the same case for the carrots. The carrot's a little harder, so you need to be careful. Don't make your fingers touch those blades, or you'll end up cutting yourself. And so this is what we want, just little bits of the veggies. We could have used the yellow squash equally as the zucchini. Now the thing that we have to remember, particularly with the squash, the zucchini or the yellow squash, is that there's quite a lot of water inside this squash. And we don't want our pancakes to be extra watery. So what you can do is put it on some paper towel and squeeze it. Squeeze all that water out. Until it's almost dry. So you can see this looks quite a lot different than that. It's because we've squeezed the water out. And so here is our pancake mix. Our recipe calls for 2 cups of pancake mix, and I already measured it. And so we're just going to kind of stir that around, look for lumps. We don't want any lumps. And we're going to make a little, they call this a well. It's actually a hole you kind of make in your batter. And we're going to add the water. And the brown sugar. And the spices. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Then we're going to stir that until it's just combined. You don't have to use a mixer, just a bowl and a spoon. Then we're going to add our vegetables. So in goes the zucchini, and that's about a half a cup of zucchini, half a cup of carrots. And then we're going to just gently stir that in until we see it all mixed, so that we can't really see clumps of green or clumps of orange. That's all there is to it. Now let's get ready to cook. We have an electric skillet. You can use the skillet on top of your stove. I'm just using the electric one. And I have it turned to about 350, just so that it's kind of medium hot. And how can we tell when it's ready to cook? Well, I'm going to take just a couple of drops of water on the end of my fingers, and I'm going to put them in the skillet. You hear that? When the water dances and bubbles like that, then it's ready. So we're going to take just a little bit of vegetable oil so that our pancakes won't stick. Oh, excuse me, veggie cakes. You can spread that around the skillet. We don't want to use too much, but yet we want to use enough so that the pancakes don't stick. Right. So it looks like we are ready. Oh, this batter looks so good. Okay, I'm going to put it just by a spoonful at a time. I think this skillet can hold 3, maybe 4 next time, but we'll try it first with 3. Then we're going to let that cook for a minute or so. I'll turn it up. Our apples are boiling, and we want them to cook until they're soft. I think they're just about ready to flip. You can see that there are bubbles that have burst on the surface, and it's beginning to look a little dry around the edge. So let's see if we can flip this over. There we go. Ah, those look nice and golden brown. Wonderful, and they smell so good. I hope that you're making this in your kitchen while I'm making it in mine, so that we can sit down and eat together. Won't that be fun? Let's check our apples. We want the apples to be soft, and I have a potato masher. If you don't have a potato masher, no biggie. Just use a fork and just mash them with your fork. Now, the applesauce you buy in the store quite often has lots of sugar, and we don't want that in our applesauce. So I didn't add any sugar at all. What we can do is taste it, and then if we think it needs a little sweetening, we can add a tiny bit of honey, or again, just a very small teaspoon or 2 of the brown sugar like we put in our veggie cakes. So this applesauce looks really good. I'm going to go set it aside. Wow, I think these pancakes, veggie cakes, are done. So pull them out of your skillet, and you can keep them warm in the oven. Just turn your oven just to warm or 250 degrees and just place them in your oven, and they'll stay warm while you cook the rest. I think it's time to eat. Let's fix ourselves a plate of the veggie cakes. And so I'm going to start with 2 of our veggie cakes. And you can put syrup on. You can put nut butter on. I think I'm going to use the applesauce that we just made. And remember, we made the applesauce just by cutting up apples and putting a little bit of water and cooking them until they were soft. I also like maybe just a tiny bit of honey. Ooh, that's enough. And a little bit of yogurt, just right there on top. And a little bit of extra cinnamon. Okay. I don't know about you, but I think these look really good. I think we should try them. I'm going to get a little bit of that yogurt and the veggie cake. Oh my goodness. That is fantastic. It tastes like carrot cake and zucchini bread all rolled into one. And we got it from our garden. So super duper healthy. With the veggies, we added some fruit and the yogurt from the dairy group, which makes this a very well-balanced breakfast or supper. I also sent a savory veggie cake recipe. So this we would consider a sweet recipe because it's like cake. And this one is savory. The word savory just means not sweet. And so the savory recipe has some cheese and veggies and eggs in it. And you might want to try that with your family. I also sent a zucchini bread recipe. This one has canned pineapple in it too. We can't grow pineapples in our gardens here in central Illinois. They only come from Hawaii and the tropical regions. So we'd have to add the canned pineapple to this. But we can sure put our own zucchini from the garden. Or again, if you don't have a garden, no big deal. You can get these things at the grocery store or the farmer's market, or maybe one of your neighbors has a garden. I bet if you offered to help them weed or water their garden, they would give you all the zucchini you wanted. And additionally, I also sent this little packet of information that has really good tips about measuring and cooking and some cooking terms. And there's even a section on manners. So might be a little project for you to do this summer to learn a little bit more about table manners and how to measure things. I'm so glad that we got to spend this time together this morning. And I hope that you and your family make one of these recipes so that you can enjoy it together, because it's so good. We here at University of Illinois Extension hope that you have a great summer and you spend time with your family and enjoy digging in to good food from the garden.